Welcome to My Life After 50, Frank Morrison, and my live stream. I do this weekly, and the idea is to open up to those who are looking to try to quit drinking, which is not an easy task. Um, get out the disclaimer, which is I am not a medical doctor. I have no degree in medicine. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a neurologist. I am not a therapist. I am a regular guy who went through a terrible time and now have wonderful clarity. I hope your week started out well. And what I do is I have a Frank's Weekly Fives that I go over, and I don't expect you to be able to read that. That's really for me to go over. But before I get into those, I want to do kind of a recap. This is week 8, so there's been a couple of challenges I've put out there so far. One of which is the first one was, and I'm sorry I can't remember which live stream it was. Um, I challenged you to put together a list of 5 things that you miss that you used to do in your life and no longer do because alcohol has taken precedence over living your life doing fun things. So if you took the time to make that list, I'd love for you to send me a chat. I've got my screen on my desktop here. I'm ready to respond to anyone who uh, dove into that list or anyone that has any type of question. If you haven't seen any of my other live streams, I invite you to. Uh, I'll briefly tell you again, and I'll do this each session, that I started my YouTube channel on exactly that, how I quit drinking. It's a long 1 hour video. Some have broke it up in stages and watched it. It's off the cuff and I spill my beans. So I'd love for you to watch that as well. Terrible time, but I am extremely happy with where I'm at in life, beating that evil that was in me. I've got a fun little story, and each week, as I had just mentioned, I'm looking for folks to chime in, to send me a chat. Hey, how hard was it? Any question you want. But I had mentioned that I would bring up a story each week that had to do with my first video. But this one is not. It's a little bit different. And as I'm looking for folks to engage with me, I found this very interesting because the engagement came to me another way. So this actually, I'll call it a true live chat. So there's a gentleman that I see weekly who walks his dog, and we got to know each other's names. And I'm not going to share his name uh, unless he chooses to listen into my live streams, which I'd love. But we'll do baby steps here. So as I had introduced myself, um, I had brought up what I had been through, and I can't quite remember why that part of the conversation came up. Here's kind of a stranger, and we got to talking about something, but anyway, that came up. Well, last Friday, he had reached out and said, "Frank, you got a minute?" Yeah, of course, I've got a minute. I'm kind of a social guy, so I had to do a couple things, and then we engaged. And he goes, "Listen, I really remember. I remember you telling me that you had some problems in the past." I go, "Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you remember that." And he goes, "Well, I'm struggling with something, and I was curious. You know, do you go to meetings? Do you see a therapist? Do you?" I said, "Well, tell me what's going on." And at this time, I could tell that there was anxiety. There was anxiety and a struggle to tell me what was going on, and that's an indication that people are, or not people, but someone's having trouble. And I did, as we continued to talk, um I reminded him, just let's have a candid conversation here. Let's take it easy. You opened up with me. I love this. I love the fact that you're trusting me to tell me what's going on. So tell me what's going on. And he sure did. And he's gonna seek some help. He's been in and out of needing help, but he's concerned that um, he's not going to be able to do this. And I said, well, and as I've said in all of my live stream videos, you cannot do this on your own. You can't just quit on your own. It's dangerous. And um, and so I wanted to share that with you because I felt so awesome knowing that he trusted me to have this conversation, and I gave him some advice on some things. And in fact, I told him that each time that I see him, that we will make a point of talking that day. And that's kind of a stepping stone to help him make decisions on how he wants to approach, whether he's going to go get professional help as a in whatever direction it is. I'm just really pleased uh, that I'm there for him to speak to. So there's my first real live chat of really talking to someone who has a problem and wants to get better, and he truly does want to get better. Um, so I'm looking forward to another conversation with him. Here's another question, another challenge that I had, and this is another previous um, episode that I did, and that was to make a list of 5 things that you wanted as your Christmas gift to yourself. What is that? What are those things that you would want to give yourself um, while quitting drinking? This was just something fun to think about so that it would engage your brain into going, yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that. But you can't do that in the state that you're in. If you're this daily drinker and you have a serious problem, you're not going to be able to do some of these things that you really want to do. But the point of that list was to get you to get excited about something. Um, and so if you made that list and you happen to not get on the chat now, or you want to make a comment once this video goes public, because what I've learned, a little side note, is when these videos turn off, they automatically become private until I go into the system and switch it back over to public, and then the video can be seen late at a later date as one of my normal videos. So let's get to this week's Frank's Weekly Fives. So I just wrote a couple of things down here, and I want you to really absorb these things. Courage. You got to have courage and not fear. And that goes in life, period. And when you're drinking all the time, you're constantly in fear. You may not know that. You may not feel that, but you are. Your brain is in fear. It's so much more fun to be courageous. And that could lead to that list that you made. What's something that you wanted to do or haven't done yet in your life that you could be courageous, excuse me, and not have fear of that? Self-confidence, not helplessness. Self-confidence, not helplessness. Now, helplessness is a pretty powerful word, and a lot of people don't like that. And they certainly don't want to be labeled as helpless. But if you're living a life of being constantly drunk, drinking every night, drinking during the day, you're a morning drinker, whatever it is, um, you're not going to have any confidence. You're just not. It's not going to be there. You're going to be helpless. And the alcohol is what's making you helpless. It wants to make you helpless because it wants you to go to the store to buy more alcohol. Why I called it the evils of alcohol. Third, clean conscience, not guilt. Boy, that could go in a lot of directions. Clean conscience, not guilt. Well, clean conscience is being aware of what you're doing, being responsible for what you're doing, and making the right decisions, which is on your conscience. But when you're under the influence all the time and not making the right decisions, sometimes you're not conscious of what you're doing. We've all said, "Oh man, I'm sorry I said that. I was drunk. I didn't mean that." There's a perfect example. Guilt. You're carrying guilt every single day. Every single day you're carrying guilt. You're hiding it. You're hiding that guilt. You're suppressing that guilt because you don't want anybody to know that you're like this. Trust me, a lot of people know you're like this. So the positive words out of this: courage, self-confidence, clean conscience. Don't you want to have all those things? I have them all. Didn't have them for a long time, but I have them all. I have a lot of things that I had in the past I brought back because I have unbelievable clarity. And number two, you can start on a path of clarity by opening up to someone you love. You can start on your path to clarity by opening up to someone you love. That's not easy to do. It could be anybody in your life. But open up to them, let them know. That's a major first step. Major. That particular person is going to be extremely proud of you. You're probably thinking, "Oh my God, they're going to think the worst of me. They're not going to be my friend, or they're going to hate me," or it's your wife or husband or your parent or whoever this person is that you choose. Don't think the worst. And it's a huge relief when you do that. I'll come back to another story that has to do with my first video. Number three, another list. And I'm going to circle back throughout each live stream and go back to them and find someone who wants to talk about their lists. I'm going to keep bringing them up. This new one, start a "what have I lost" list. What does that mean, Frank? What have you lost? You've lost a lot. You've lost a lot of things. You've lost touch for sure. You've lost a lot in your life. Take some time and make a list of the things that you have lost. Just 5 of them. There's way more than 5, but list 5 of them and share those with me. I'd love to know what they are. You don't have to get super personal, but what are they? What are those things in your life that you used to do, or things that you lost that you just simply can't do because you don't have the brain function to do those things? What have you lost? Be very open and be very truthful to yourself. What have you lost? All right, so here's the non-medical. I'm not a doctor, okay? But I'll tell you a little bit about this. Brain structure. This is just one of so many things that alcohol does to you. So many things that alcohol does to you. The heavier and longer you drink, the more you can no longer function without alcohol. That's a fact. The heavier and the longer you drink, the harder it is for you to function without alcohol. That's brain structure. You're changing your brain structure because your brain is constantly looking for the alcohol. In your subconscious, it's just constantly looking for the alcohol. Once you find this path and you get over this hump and get through all of this and you find that clarity, you're going to be blown away. You're going to be blown away at how different you feel on a daily basis. Before I get to number 5, because that's kind of the closing, let me go back to, you can start on the path of clarity by opening up to someone you love. The day, this goes back to my first story. The day that I finally decided it was time for me to go see someone professionally, I opened up, and I'll remember this clearly, eating breakfast with my son and my wife at the time. I flat out said to both of them, it's time. Now, the afternoon before, and you'll see this in the story when you watch that long one that started my YouTube channel, hint, hint, I almost had a seizure that afternoon, the afternoon before. And that following day, after going through that in the manner in which I went through it, and I'm not going to tell you what it was because I want you to watch that story, that's what pushed me into finally opening up. Made a phone call that morning, right after I said it. I had the person I needed to call, and I just did it. I just did it. And that was it. In hours, I was in another city. And that was my first step. So you can start on a path to clarity by opening up to someone you love and trust the process. It is so hard to do it, but just trust the process. You can do it. You absolutely can do it. You can do anything. I can do anything. And I can't wait to do things that I've always wanted to do because I got a long life ahead of me. Number 5, get yourself back. Get yourself back. Stop pouring it down. Stop pouring it. You know what I'm talking about. Stop pouring it down. Get yourself back like Frank got Frank back. And I'm so happy I got Frank back. Now, at the end of each live stream, which I will do now, I'm going to share my quote. Make today your best day ever until tomorrow. You can find these on redbubble.com under FJM Art, or just get on redbubble.com and type in make today your best day ever until tomorrow, and my store will pop up. I'd love for you to support me there. I'd love your support as a subscriber to my channel. I'd love thumbs up. That's awesome. I am trying to grow on this channel, but I'm also trying to help you. So this weekly live stream that I'm doing is specifically for those who want to get on a path to clarity and quit drinking. And if I can help you as a regular guy, I would love to do that for you. This is your first video that you're watching. Be sure to listen in next week if you would like to get on that chat, or please leave me a comment on this video. Until next week, and yes, it is the 23rd. I am still planning to do that on the 23rd, which is Monday. I do this every Monday at 7:15-ish. Okay, I'm going to leave you again with this. Make today your best day ever until tomorrow. Take care and have an awesome week. Till next week. Bye-bye.